Hello again. Are you ready for another story? I've got one I think you'll enjoy. I believe last time I told you it'd be about vegetables involved. So I'm wearing vegetables, more vegetables, same vegetable, different colors. So I have two vegetables right here to share with you. This one is a sweet potato. And when you cut it open, it's a real pretty yellow. When you cook it and put butter on it, oh, really good. This one is a yam. And when you cut it open, it's a real pretty orange. And when you cook it and put butter on it and brown sugar, very tasty. So anyway, there is a reason I'm sharing that. Oh, hold on, just 1 second, 1 second. Yes? What? Okay, well, that's what I was going to do. Okay, I'm going to do it. All right. He wants me to tell you a story about his cousin who lives in Africa, which is what I was going to do anyway. Some vegetables are so pushy. So this story takes place in Africa, in a little village, and it starts with a farmer. And he had planted yams in his yard and went out to pick them up. He looked over in the corner and he saw this great big yam that he had never noticed before. He went over to the yam, bent down, and tried to pick it up. And when he did, the yam said, "You didn't weed me, you didn't water me, leave me alone." Well, the farmer thought, I must be going a little crazy. Yams don't talk. So he bent down again to pick up the yam, and then his dog said, "Didn't you hear what the yam said?" Well, the farmer was really startled, and not only had his dog never spoken to him, but when he chose to, he was very rude. So he broke a stick off a tree to beat his dog. And the tree said, "Oh, no, put that stick down." And he dropped it and it fell on a rock, and the rock said, "Get that stick off me." So the man said, "I'm going to go to the chief. He will know what to do." So as he ran down the road, he ran into a woman who was carrying a string of fish. And she said, "What is the matter?" And the farmer said, "You're probably not going to believe me, but I was in the yard this morning picking up yams and putting them in the basket, and then I saw this big yam, and when I went to pick it up, it said, 'You didn't weed me, you didn't water me, leave me alone.' And so I bent down again to try to pick it up, and then my dog said, 'Didn't you hear what the yam said?' So I got a stick to beat my dog, and the tree said, 'Oh, no, you don't, put that stick down.' And it fell on a rock, and the rock said, 'Get that stick off me.'" Well, the woman with the fish thought, that is the silliest thing I've ever heard. And, I just don't believe it. And the farmer said, "Well, I knew you probably wouldn't, but don't you understand?" And she's, no. And then her fish said, "Let the man talk." She said, "Ah!" And she decided to go with the farmer down to talk to the chief. As they ran down the road, they ran into a man with a whole basket of corn. And he stopped them and said, "What's going on? What's going on?" The farmer said, "I know you're not going to believe me, but I will tell you anyway. I was in my yard picking up yams, and there was a great big yam. And when I went to pick it up, it said, 'You didn't weed me, you didn't water me, leave me alone.' And I went to pick it up again, and then my dog said, 'Didn't you hear what the yam said?' And then I got a stick to beat my dog, and the tree said, 'Oh, no, you don't. Put that stick down.' And the stick fell on a rock, and the rock said, 'Get that stick off me.' So I decided I would go and talk to the chief, and maybe he can tell me what's going on." And as I went down, I met this lady with the fish, and she said, it's true. He told me about it, and I didn't believe him. And then he started to tell me again, and I interrupted him, and my fish said, let the man talk. Well, the man with the corn just laughed and said, well, that is so silly. I have never heard such a thing in my life. And then his corn said, what would you do? He said, ah! And they all ran down. They're going to talk to the chief. Well, they came to a stream, and there was a woman washing her clothes at the stream. And she said, what's going on? The farmer said, you're not going to believe me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I was in my yard picking up yams, and a great big yam I started to pick up said, you didn't weed me, you didn't water me, leave me alone. And when I started to do it again, my dog said, didn't you hear what the yam said? So I got a stick to beat my dog, and the tree said, oh, no, you don't. Put that stick down. And I dropped it, and it fell on a rock, and the rock said, get that stick off me. So I decided to go and talk to the chief. And then the woman with the fish said, it's true. And he was telling me the story. I started to interrupt him, and my fish said, let the man talk. And then the man with the corn said, it's true. They came down, and I saw them, and I didn't believe it either. And then my corn said, what would you do? Well, do you think the woman with the clothes believed them? And so she said, that is so silly. You guys are crazy. And then her clothes said, you would too if it happened to you. She said, ah! And they all ran down to the chief. They beat on his door and beat on his door. And then the chief opened the door and said, what is going on? They all basically said, you're not going to believe us, but this really happened. The farmer started. I was in my yard picking up yams, and I saw this great big yam, and I started to pick it up, and it said, you didn't weed me, you didn't water me, leave me alone. And I started to do it again, and then my dog said, didn't you hear what the yam said? So I got a stick to beat my dog, and the tree said, oh, no, you don't. Put that stick down. And I dropped it, and it fell on a rock, and the rock said, get that stick off me. So I decided I'd come to see you, and I ran into this lady with the fish. And she said, it's true. And he was talking to me. I started to interrupt him, and my fish said, let the man talk. And then I decided to go, and then the man with the corn said, it's true. And when I didn't believe them, my corn said, what would you do? And then the lady with the clothes, she said, it's true. They came to me, and I didn't believe them. And then my clothes said, you would too if it happened to you. Well, the chief just shook his head, and he said, you know, maybe you all have been in the heat too long. I don't know. But I don't know what you expect me to do. I think probably you should all just go home, maybe have a cool drink of lemonade, and this will all be okay in the morning. So they left thinking, well, you know, maybe we just imagined it. And the chief closed the door, and he said, that was the silliest thing I ever heard. And then his stool said, I know. Who ever heard of a talking yam? And that's the story of the talking yam. I hope you enjoyed it. And my next story is going to be one from nursing school again. And that is about why I went to nursing school. So I hope that you enjoyed this story. I hope that you will subscribe and listen again. I look forward to telling you another story. And don't forget to eat your vegetables, even if they talk to you. Be blessed now. Bye-bye.